Of the three boys who left Emmons Field, Perrin Aybara was the one who could kill you with his bare hands the fastest, and the one least likely to ever want to. He was built like an ox, thick through the shoulders, heavy in the arms, the kind of size that made strangers step aside without quite knowing why. Jordan gives him the frame of a blacksmith before he's even properly become one. And that's not an accident, it's a setup. Because everything about Perrin's story runs on this one contradiction. The most physically dangerous of the three boys from Emmons Field was also the gentlest. He was apprenticed to Master Luhan, the village blacksmith, and by every account, he liked it. This matters more than it seems to at first. Rand never quite fit in Emmons Field. There was always something restless in him, something waiting to happen. But Perrin had already found his place in the world. He wasn't searching for a purpose. He had one, a humble, honest one. Make horseshoes, fix tools, stay in the two rivers, probably forever. He just didn't get to keep it. If you had to describe Perrin in one trait, it wouldn't be strength, it would be restraint. He thinks before he speaks. He is slow to anger, deliberately, carefully slow, like a man who knows exactly what he's holding back. Where Matt talks his way out of trouble and Rand broods his way through it, Perrin just waits, watches. He's the one who de escalates, the one uncomfortable with conflict in a way neither of his friends really are. He hated confrontation, which makes it almost cruel in hindsight. How much of his story would end up being built on it. But make no mistake, gentle doesn't mean passive. When the Trollocs came for Emmons Field, Perrin didn't hesitate. No debate, no why me. He just went. He stayed with Rand and Matt because that's what you do for the people you care about. You don't ask questions, you just move. And that loyalty runs through everything early on. His watchfulness over Egwene on the road, the easy brotherly rhythm between him, Rand, and Matt, not adventure companions thrown together by fate, but something closer to family. It's because Jordan builds this so carefully that it hurts later when the group starts to fracture. You don't feel the loss of a plot device, you feel the loss of a brother. Right now, though, none of that has happened yet. Right now, he doesn't know he's a wolf brother. He doesn't know about the axe he'll come to fear more than any enemy. He doesn't know his home will burn, or that villages will one day whisper his name with dread instead of familiarity. Right now, he's just a big, kind boy who wants to make horseshoes, marry someone from his village, and never leave home. That boy doesn't survive what's coming. Not entirely. Every story about Perrin Aybara eventually has to talk about the eyes. Because somewhere along the road away from Emmons Field, something in him changed. Quietly at first, almost too quietly to notice. Perrin starts noticing wolves, not the way a farmer notices a predator near his flock. Something closer, stranger. He can sense them. Sometimes he dreams as one. And soon he realizes, with a kind of quiet horror, that he isn't just noticing them, he can hear them. And they can hear him. This is what the books call a wolf brother, a person with a rare, near forgotten ability to sense and communicate with wolves, to share their minds, even to walk in their dreams. It is an old gift, a dangerous one, and it is without question the single most defining trait of Perrin's entire arc. It's Elias Machira who first names it for him, who tells him what he is. And you'd think, for a boy who's just spent his whole life being ordinary, that this would feel like a gift. It doesn't. Because here's the thing about Perrin that we established earlier, the thing that makes this gift so cruel. He is a boy defined by restraint, by carefulness. by the effort of holding himself from the strength he already knows he has. And now he's being told that some part of him, some animal part of him, is not just strong, but hungry, instinctive, violent when it needs to be, uncontrolled. For most people, that might be exciting. For Perrin, it's terrifying. Because it means that the thing he's spent his whole life keeping in check isn't just his temper anymore, it's a wolf. So he does what a lot of people do when they are handed a part of themselves they didn't ask for. He denies it. He refuses to listen to the wolves when they call to him. He avoids the wolf dream whenever he can. He treats the whole thing less like an identity and more like a disease, something to be resisted, suppressed, kept as far from the surface as possible. He doesn't want to be young bull, the name the wolves gave him. He doesn't want a wolf name at all. He wants to be Perrin Aybara, blacksmith's apprentice, and nothing stranger than that. It's worth exploring why this scares him so much, because it's more specific than just fear of the unknown. Perrin isn't afraid of wolves. He is afraid of what wolves represent inside him. Instinct without restraint, violence without hesitation. Everything he has spent his life trying not to be, wearing his own face. And this is where the tragedy of Perrin really starts to take shape. Because denying the wolf doesn't make it go away. It just means that when it finally does surface, in moments of real danger, real rage, real grief, he has no practice controlling it, no relationship with it, only fear of it. He spends years running from the one part of himself that might have actually helped him survive what's coming. He wanted to be just a man. The wolf had other plans. Eventually, the road brings Perrin home. By this point, he is not traveling alone anymore. Filey is with him, sharp, proud, entirely unlike anyone Emmonsfield would have prepared him for. Their relationship deserves its own conversation, honestly. But for now, what matters is this: the boy who left home, gentle and uncertain, is coming back changed, toughened, carrying a wolf inside him he still hasn't fully made peace with. And home needs him more than he realizes. The Two River isn't the sleepy backwater it used to be. Prologues are raiding, villages are burning, and the people back home, practical, stubborn Two Rivers folk, need someone who actually knows how to fight them. That someone turns out to be Perrin. And here's where it's worth pausing, because what happens next is easy to blow past if you are just summarizing plot. Perrin doesn't seize command. Nobody hands him a title. There's no ceremony, no vote, no dramatic speech where he declares himself in charge. He just starts doing what needs to be done. He knows how Trollocs fight because he's fought them. He knows how to organize defenses because he has seen real war. So he starts giving advice, then instructions. Then, without anyone quite marking the moment it happened, people start following his orders. This is the part of Perrin's story that deserves way more attention than it usually gets, especially if you have watched our video on Rand. Rand becomes a leader through necessity and force, through prophecy, through armies, through the sheer crushing weight of who he has to be. People follow him because they have no choice, because he is the dragon reborn, because refusing might mean death, because history has already written the role and shoved him into it. Perrin's path is almost the exact opposite. Nobody follows Perrin because they are afraid of him. Nobody follows him because a prophecy said they had to. They follow him because when the Trollocs came, he was the one who knew what to do, and because somehow that felt like the most natural thing in the world. And when the attack actually comes, that trust pays off. The Two Rivers doesn't fall. Ordinary farmers and shepherds, organized and led by one of their own, hold their ground against Trollocs, something that should, by every reasonable measure, be impossible. It isn't, because Perrin made it possible. And that's when it happens. Not through conquest, not through bloodline or title or claim. The people of the two rivers name him Lord. Not because he demanded it, not because he needed it, but because in the moment it mattered most, he was already acting like one, and everyone around him simply recognized what was already true. There's something worth sitting with here. This is a man who spent the first half of his story terrified of his own strength, terrified of what it meant that people might look at him and see someone dangerous. And now, people are looking at him and seeing something else entirely: a protector, a leader, someone worth following. He never asked to lead the two rivers, he just never stopped showing up for it. And eventually, that became the same thing. Perrin doesn't stay Lord of the Two Rivers for long before duty pulls him out again. Rand needs him, needs someone he trusts, someone to help deal with the growing mess of Dragonsworn, someone steady enough to handle it. Perrin has never once been someone who says no when the people he cares about need him. So he goes, and on the way, everything falls apart. The shadow attack, and in the chaos, Filey, his wife, is taken. And here's where we need to talk honestly about this part of the story. Because if you have read the books, you already know what's coming. This is the section most readers call the slowest stretch in the entire Wheel of Time. But here's the thing, this stretch isn't filler. It's arguably the single most important psychological turning point Perrin ever goes through. Because this is the place where everything we've spent this video building up finally collides. He argues with the wise ones. He argues with the Aes Sedai. He argues with anyone. Anyone who so much as suggests patience, strategy, caution. The boy who used to think before he spoke is now the man snapping at everyone standing between him and his wife. And it isn't just anger anymore. Remember the wolf he spent so long denying? It doesn't stay quiet during this. If anything, this is where it gets loudest. Grief and fear and fury are exactly the conditions that let instinct override restraint. And Perrin, without fully realizing it, starts leaning on the wolf more than he ever has, using it, needing it. He's not just fighting to save Filey anymore. He's fighting a version of himself that's starting to feel less and less in control. And when the rescue finally comes, after everything, after all that waiting, all that argument, all that rage building under the surface, Perrin doesn't just fight to get her back. He fights like something has been let off a leash. Efficient, brutal, overwhelming. And the unsettling part isn't just how effective he is. It's that some part of him looks like he's enjoying it. And this is the gut punch of the whole arc. He gets Filey back. He wins. By every objective measure, this is a victory. But Perrin doesn't feel like he won anything. Because in that fight, he finally becomes the thing he spent this entire story afraid of becoming. Not the wolf as a companion, not the wolf as a gift he could learn to live with, but the wolf as the exact monster he always feared was hiding inside him. Violence without hesitation, instinct without restraint, and worse, he liked it. So when people call this stretch of the story slow, it's worth pushing back on that a little. Yes, the pacing is a lot. Yes, it tests your patience, but that's kind of the point. Jordan is putting you, the reader, through the same grinding, boiling frustration Perrin is going through. By the time the rescue happens, you are supposed to feel the release right alongside him. And you are supposed to feel the horror of it too. He saved his wife, and in doing so, he found out exactly how much of the wolf was already his. After Malden, Perrin doesn't get to just move on. Not really. Because the thing he is afraid of, the wolf, the rage, the part of him that enjoyed the killing, hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there, waiting. And eventually, it has a face. Slayer. If you have been following this video, you already know why Slayer matters so much to Perrin's arc specifically. This isn't just another enemy to defeat. Slayer operates almost entirely in the wolf dream, hunting, killing, existing as pure predatory instinct, without a shred of the restraint Perrin has spent his whole life clinging to. Slayer is what Perrin was afraid of becoming, given a body and a name. So when they finally fight, it isn't just a battle, it's the confrontation this entire character arc has been building toward. Every time Perrin has denied the wolf, every time he's feared it, every time he's used it and hated himself afterward, all of it is in this fight. And this time, something's different. Instead of fighting the wolf inside himself while he fights the Slayer, instead of being afraid of his own strength, even as he uses it, Perrin stops resisting. He accepts it, not as a monster hiding inside him, as part of who he actually is. And that acceptance changes everything that comes after. This is the moment Perrin stops being a man at war with himself. Man, wolf, blacksmith. The three-way pull we talked about back at the start of this video finally settles into something whole, instead of three things fighting for control. And it's fitting, honestly, that this acceptance shows up literally at the forge. Perrin does something we have never seen from him before. He makes himself a weapon of his own design. Not a stolen sword, not a borrowed axe he never wanted to carry in the first place. A hammer. Think about what that actually means. Not a soldier's weapon, not a lord's weapon. A blacksmith's tool, reforged into something that can kill. Made by his own hands, for his own hands. It's the perfect physical symbol for everything he's become. A man who never stopped being that quiet boy from the forge, but who's no longer afraid of the strength that boy always had. By this point, Perrin's authority in the Two Rivers isn't really in question anymore. He commands loyalty, land, and armed forces on a scale that honestly puts him closer to a king than a village leader. He has earned, in every practical sense, the kind of power plenty of rulers spend their whole lives fighting for. And this is where Perrin makes a choice that tells you everything about who he really is. Instead of pushing for independence, instead of claiming a crown he's more than earned, Perrin keeps the Two River under the rule of Andor. He stays a lord answering to a higher throne, not a king carving out his own. Compare that one more time to Rand, a man who ends up reshaping the entire political map of the world around his destiny. Perrin had every opportunity to do something similar on a smaller scale. The loyalty was there, the power was there. He just never wanted it for its own sake. He only ever wanted to protect his family. And once it was safe, that was enough. That's Perrin Aybara in the end. Not the most powerful man in the story, not the most famous, or the most prophesied, or the most talked about, but maybe the most whole. A gentle boy who became a leader without ever asking to be one. A man who feared his own strength his entire life and only became truly dangerous once he stopped running from it. Rand carried the weight of destiny. Matt carried the weight of luck he never wanted. Perrin carried something quieter and honestly, something a lot more human. The weight of learning to trust himself. If you haven't already, go check out our videos on Rand and Matt. Seeing all three of them side by side really shows you how differently Jordan builds a coming of age story, even inside the same journey. And if you want to see us dig into more of the Wheel of Time, Filey, The Isle, One Power, whoever or whatever you want to hear about next, let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.